Okay, so if you know that you don't have provisions for the baby, my advice, don't bring a baby into this world to come and suffer because, wow, no, guys, no. This is not what I wanted to say. No, let's... Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ruth, and today we have a very interesting topic. It's not black and white, but let's just get people's opinion. And today I have here with me
Michael Obu.
Maite Mawasha.
Tadwana Shendondo.
Okay, those are their names, and today we'll be discussing on pro-choice and pro-life. Again, some people are about to scatter the table, but so my first question to you guys today is: should I just ask, are you pro-life or pro-choice?
I'm pro-choice.
You?
I'm actually pro-life.
Pro-life.
Oh, okay. Why are you pro-life?
I'm pro-life, and I believe men should also have a say in whether a woman should abort or keep the child. But I think a woman should keep the child anyways. There are very few reasons why women can have abortions that I may agree to, but not necessarily saying I agree to the whole abortion thing. If it's incest, if it's rape, yes, I understand. But most of these people who are fighting for abortion rights, they only want to abort because of their lifestyles, the lives that they want to live. So it's more of personal preference, it's more of selfishness. I stand on my religious grounds, I stand in what I believe in, I stand in the tradition that if you are to have sex, you're capable of raising a child, you're capable of thinking that having sex, you're going to have a child. So you may come at me and say whatever you want to say, but I'm pro-life. Keep the baby, keep the child. You know exactly what you're doing. If you're a woman, you say I'm empowered, so you know what you're doing. You know how to plan. You know how to raise a child. It's in you. It's genetics. Keep the baby.
Are you? Why?
I'm pro-choice because I feel that there should be a reason why you're deciding to want to abort, first of all. And also, sometimes it's also to take the child out of misery. I mean, you have kids who get born with what are these genetic disorders and all of those. So instead of you wanting to come and force this child to come and live a life that is not exactly to their fullest potential, it's better to just not end it, but take them out of their misery.
Wow.
And also, I think you have a choice to decide what happens to you, your body, and what you allow into your life, and etc.
Okay.
The only man among us.
Oh, okay. It's right carefully. Okay.
Yes.
So, I am pro-life because I personally believe life begins at conception. So, I see people using the pro-choice thing as a way of getting away from the responsibility that comes with getting pregnant. So, even though I am pro-life, I still say, oh, okay, people are entitled to do whatever they want to do with their bodies, but a certain level of empathy should be applied, and this empathy goes to the child, not like fully to the mother, but there's also a part of the empathy that should go to the child. So going with the first rule of medicine, like do no harm, first do no harm. So if you're harming the child because you're trying to satisfy the mother's feelings, basically, then there's no balance there.
Okay. I don't even know what to say, but anyways, to each and his own. I want to ask you guys, do you think abortion should be legal or illegal? Like, what do you guys think? Like, and when I'm asking in terms of also in the part that, some people describe abortion as a medical procedure. Okay, that should be my first question. Do you guys think abortion is a medical procedure?
I think it's safe to say it has to be a medical procedure, because if you're going to do anything without exactly knowing or understanding the anatomy of a woman, you're going to either harm her chances of having children after the abortion or even kill her at the same time. So I think if you are to have an abortion, it's safer to have it with a doctor or someone who's well experienced. Otherwise, it's gonna be a disaster afterwards. That's what I think. Even though
Okay,
I'm pro-life.
so in that case, do you guys now feel like, or what do you think about when people say, oh, because the child is detrimental to the mother, can they abort? Do you think that is a stable ground to say they can abort the child or
So,
something?
let me understand. Detrimental in what way?
Like in terms of probably preeclampsia, like
Okay, so if the
Some
child, if
medical
having the child,
conditions.
like, so you mean like if having the child is at the detriment of the mother's life?
yeah,
At that point, I think it's always safe to say that abortion is necessary. So it's not just like a matter of choice again. It's like it's a necessary procedure because we do triads, and at that point, the importance of the mother's life outweighs that of the child. So even though they both have like equal dignity as like living beings, but at that point, the mother is already living, like she's already not living, she's already fully participant in society. She's a full participant in society, so she takes precedence over the child.
okay. Your medical law and ethics is clear. What do you guys think?
I think, I think I agree with him.
Do you agree?
I do agree with them. It's not like it's not like we have an option. We have to save her life. We don't have. It's not like we're taking a life for another, but we need her to still be there. She can always have another baby later on if this one is harming her health.
Okay, so you guys out there, what do you guys think? Do you guys think it should be done on it's morally right, let me put it that way, to be done on the basis of it's detrimental to the mother's life? I'd like you guys to comment down below and let me know, or click the like button if you don't want to share your own opinion but you agree with it by clicking the like button. So on those grounds, do you now think whether illegal, because from where we're from, do you guys think, because outside in most African countries, I don't know because I've not researched or not, but I know of my own country, abortion is illegal. So do you think it's better for you to say they should legalize it so that people can go through proper medical care to abort if they want to abort, than in some situations like in schools, like in university where I was one time, there was a time that we went into the bathroom and we saw blood and we called the maid, and it was the maid, because she's old, so she knew more things, she had more experience, and she was telling us that somebody just aborted that child.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just
And there was a time too also I found out that there was a lady living upstairs in my hostel that that's her job to be aborted.
Wow.
okay.
That is her job, and she was a law student, and I'm like, wait, I don't understand, how is a law student aborting kids? Then apparently she was using them. If you guys know all these iron hangers in the house, like
Yeah.
they said she would, I don't know how to please.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
apparently that's what
Next
she's
time.
doing.
Yeah.
Do you think it's better for one to they should legalize it so that whoever wants to abort, fine, the doctor can advise or do anything, but it's to save them the stress and destroy their life because they don't know what all those things can result to.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it should be legal. I think because where things are not legal, abuse is inevitable. They always take advantage of the fact that even if I hurt you, there's nothing. I mean, you can't get a lawsuit against me. You can't do anything to me, so I can basically just do whatever that I want. I mean, you even get people who are inexperienced. I mean, like you're saying, a law student was using a hanger. You know, it shouldn't be done that way. So yes, it should be legalized so that you can be able to get proper health care.
But in your country it is legal, right?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
Oh, in Zimbabwe, it's illegal to have an abortion, but there are circumstances where people are allowed to have an abortion. So you can have an abortion if, let's say, the life of that child can harm the mother's life, and you can have an abortion if that child is not a child. You understand? Like there are some defects that are really, really bad. If that child is born, they'll eventually die. So I'm allowed to have an abortion. But I still stand that it has to be illegal, because if you make it illegal, you're saying it's right. So I still think it's not right.
The thing is, I would like to think that even the prevention methods are not entirely 100%. What happens if you've been taking the preventions, but I mean, you are part of the 1% that, well, happens to be on the unfortunate side, and you do get pregnant?
You do get pregnant, you keep the child. I still stand with my point.
Okay, so
you know exactly what you're doing. You know they're not safe. You know you could be that 0.1 chance of the people get pregnant. Keep the child. That's what I
So
stand
you're for abstinence.
I'm for abstinence, but I'm saying if you are to have sex, you use your prevention methods, you don't get pregnant, that's okay. But you do get pregnant, then you get to keep the child. You're old enough to understand that you can have sex. It was created, yes, there are recreational purposes of sex, but most people know that when you have sex, you get a child. People have sex to have kids in marriage. So if it's outside marriage, or maybe you just want a kid, you get a kid. So if you have that 0.1% of people who get pregnant, keep your child. I stand for that.
Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I am kind of in between both of them. So I feel abortions should be allowed in certain cases. So if it's detrimental to the health of the mother, if this child is inevitably going to die, if the child is going to have a life defect that affects life and limb, so it's necessary. And if the pregnancy is due to rape or incest relationship, those are like my own yardsticks. And for the purpose of people not going to the extreme to get abortion services illegally from people that are not experienced, the option should be available. That's the only reason why I say the option of abortions should be available, right? But on the other hand, like my grandfather would say, if you can have sex, you should be able to train a child.
Thank you.
That's what he says. So if you can have sex, you should be able to train a child. So if you want to have sex, coming from the guy's part, because I hear lots of guys say things like, oh, they prefer it raw and things like that. The girl, you should look, if we're going to have sex, there has to be protection of some sort. So if he likes doing it raw and you too you like doing it raw, get the pill or something, an IUD. Protect yourself first of all. Also realize that you're not also protecting yourself just from pregnancies. You're also protecting yourself from sexually transmitted diseases. So having safe sex, because you can't really even say if your partner is having sex with just you. So that should also be on the forefront of your mind that, okay, I have to protect myself and I have to avoid getting pregnant. So, and for the guys, they have to be responsible, because if you want it raw, get married. If you don't want, if you want it raw, get married. If you don't want a child at the moment, then use protection.
Okay, going back to what you said about the male figure, do you guys think the male figure should have a dominant, not dominant, I won't say dominant, should be in the conversation?
Yes.
Like, because it takes two to make a baby, whether you like it or not. As of now, I don't know whether in future, but for now, it takes two to make a baby. It takes every partner. So do you guys think the man should be in the conversation?
Yeah, I think so. But not that he should have deciding. What's this?
He should not be the
Yeah, he shouldn't have. Yeah, he shouldn't decide. But yes, he should be in the conversation, because at the end of the day, the woman is the one who's supposed to decide. She's gonna be the one who's gonna carry the baby. But yeah, he should be in the conversation.
I just want to understand why you say he can't decide. I'm not saying you should decide. I just want to understand why you say he can't decide.
The woman is the one carrying the baby. What is he deciding? It's my body.
What if you want a kid and you happen to be there?
Then go find it with somebody who wants a kid.
So if you get
No,
pregnant,
because it's my body. If I don't want to get pregnant right now, then I will not.
so okay, fine, I understand. I am for, if it takes two to make a baby, like she said, and if you happen to get pregnant, and if that man wants you to keep the child, I think you should have the discussion. Like she said, they have to discuss. But at the end of the day, yes, I hear people saying that the woman is supposed to make the decision. It's her body, it's her right to make sure she knows what she wants. But I think it all goes back to you knew exactly what you're doing in the first place. If you get a kid, you should be able to keep that child together as a pair.
Okay, so what if it's a case whereby the woman doesn't want to keep the baby but the man does?
No, I don't know how that works these days. Like, I don't know what happens if a woman wants to abort and the husband is against it. I don't know how it's going to work out. But I think if the husband wants to keep the child, it also goes back to what are the reasons for the woman to say, I don't want it.
Hence, you guys get to discuss it.
Exactly,
But
but
then,
then, no, like you said, the woman decides, I don't want the kid, and the husband says, I want you to keep the kid. So I'm asking you, why does the woman want to keep that child, want the child to be aborted?
Firstly, I don't think the man is completely irrelevant because, I mean, he's the father of the child, and if he's capable of fathering the child, then he cannot be irrelevant. But he also doesn't have the final say because at the end of the day, the woman is the one who's going to carry the baby. And I mean, she carries more responsibilities when it comes to, child responsibility altogether. She gets to breastfeed. She gets to constantly have to be there. With a woman, you cannot entirely say, I don't want this child anymore. Because, I mean, the child, to start with, the woman becomes the primary caregiver to the child in most cases, unless if the father goes and fights for custody for the child. That is when it's an exception. But even in that case, you will find that the father that is taking the child also has somebody who's going to play the mother figure. Because honestly, a child cannot exactly stay without a mother unless on special cases. But anyway, I am talking too much. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, we're not gonna get into that. But all I'm saying is, they can converse about it. They can come to a working decision for the both of them. But ultimately, the woman who is the one who gets the final say.
So this is one of like the grayest areas when it comes to who decides. Like when it comes to who decides if an abortion should be done. It's 50-50 to make the baby, right?
Yeah.
There has to be a guy and a girl.
Yes.
Now, another thing that we have to consider also is when this child is born, what happens? I always give this scenario. So, the man wants the child, the woman doesn't want. In most societies, she eventually aborts. She chooses to abort.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the man doesn't want the child and the woman wants the child, she keeps the child and the man pays child support. Okay, honestly, I think the decision should be 50-50 on both parties rather. The man and the woman, they came together consensually to have sex, and so the decision should be taken by both of them. But I think that decision should be that they decide to keep the child. They should keep the child because it's a consequence of their actions. So if you have sex, there's a chance that you get pregnant. So that even if you use protection, there's still a chance. So if it happens, then you have to take responsibility.
So what if you are one of the whatever percentage of people whom prevention does not work on them and you are pro-life?
How many people? God bless you and the child.
You see? Now you're bringing a child based on God bless you and the child. And then the child is coming here to suffer. Why?
It's the responsibility.
Okay.
It's unfortunate.
Okay,
yes,
it's a responsibility.
It's what you have to
But
do.
then, what are you then doing to the child? Why would you now bring this child into your midst? I mean,
did you fight in school?
did I what?
Did you fight in school?
Fight?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
When you were growing up, yeah. Okay, but you saw cases where people fought.
Yeah.
Now, most times what happens? Both people are punished. The person that was at fault that started the fight and the person that retaliated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Why? Because fighting in itself is wrong.
And
It's not because you were wrong as a person. So who gets the heavier punishment depends on who actually started the fight. Yeah.
This topic is not a black and white. There's no black and white in this kind of discussion. It's everything. We always have what if. Anyways, what if I'm your friend and I come to you that I'm pregnant?
No matter.
What would be your other option if you're pro-life, you're pro-choice? What would be your other option if I say, oh, Okay, as a pro-life, you say I should not abort, but what would be the other options? You?
For me, no,
Ladies
go
first.
to
Ladies first.
Ladies first.
For me, I'm gonna sit down with you and we're gonna talk.
Mm.
We're gonna have a realistic talk. I'm not saying you're not realistic. But you and I need to converse. What are your options? Then we weigh the options. Are you ready to raise a child? Are you, I'm gonna ask you questions that I feel, will be relevant at the time. And then you can make your decision from there.
I would honestly advise you to keep the child. My honest opinion. I'm not going to make that decision for you. You're coming to ask my opinion, right? As a friend. I'm not telling you you have to make it, and I'm not going to tell you, oh, if you abort the child, you go to hell, God will punish you. No. I'm going to give you reasons why you should keep the child, why I think you should keep the child, and why it is better off in the long run for you to keep the child. That's just my own opinion.
Okay, but we should not forget there are other options like giving up the baby for adoption.
I have a question. Yes.
And giving up the baby for adoption and like.
If you can't take care of the
and
child.
don't forget, it's not only you that is raising the child. In African countries, we say
a village.
A village.
To
It takes a village to raise a child. Yeah. So if I don't know, but there are other options you can ask people around you what are the other options apart from abortion if that's not what you want. And if you're looking to keep if you're looking to keep the child but you don't know what your options are. And to you guys out there, tell me if I'm your friend and I come to you and I tell you that I'm pregnant. With the situation, let me tell you my situation. I'm a medical student. Of course, I'm still trying to get through life. I'm not working, I'm not doing anything. And my partner is also a student, to say. So what would your advice be to me? So write your opinions down below in the comment section. Anyway, thank you guys for coming today. I really, really appreciate you guys coming. So I'll link down our channel down below and our last video based on I think it was based on.
No. Okay, well,
it was
just
based on,
put the link.
Yeah, I'll just link it down below, and I will link our social handles down below, and his own too. You guys should follow them, and please don't forget to click the like button. It really, really helps me. It really helps. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. So please click the like button, and if you've not subscribed, subscribe please. It is free. It is free.
That's the best support you can. Free support.
Just support.